one, fire!
Good evening. How are you doing this fine Wednesday evening? This is the Anime Analyst-US. My name is Thomas Fry.
And my name is Sentai.
And we are ready to rock this evening with an anime called Gate. We are going to do Season 1 and Season 2. Don't forget, this is our Wednesday 30-minute show. We got 12 episodes in each season. It aired in the summer of 2015. The studios is A1 Pictures. It was sourced from a light novel, and the genre is an action, adventure, fantasy, and the themes are isekai and military. And I kind of leave that isekai on this one open because it's sort of an isekai, but it sort of not. And it is rated R for violence and profanity. And there is some, man, they cuss like sailors on this one, man. Alright, Season 1, we got a score of 7.68, which is really high for an anime. It is ranked 1308. Popularity is 232. That's extremely well. Almost 1 million members in the fan club, and Season 2 scores them in at a 7.71. They actually did better, which I like Season 2 better myself too, but I watch it as one season. I don't think I've ever watched it separated. I just watch it straight through, and High Dive doesn't separate it. And in Season 2, they're ranked 1242, and with popularity of 400, it only dropped a little bit. But they picked up another 200,000, or no, sorry, they had 570,000 fan club members. It was almost 900,000 in Season 1, which I don't, if they would have hung out, they would have got, the anime actually got better as it went on. Maybe it was a new team working together or whatever, but they did a wonderful job. Real quick, don't forget, this is High Dive Week on Anime Analyst, and we are at the precipice of the fall 2024 season, and we got to bring this one up. This is the new stuff for High Dive. This is on all our channels. It's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can go check it out and find this poster, or ask us. Hell, I'll email it to you. We're real easy to get along. So please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share our videos. We want to stay here for you, so let us know if you are liking it. And something popped up in my screen. I didn't see what it was. So let's go back. It's this one. Alright, this is the anime we're talking about. Of course, we got the poster over here to the right there, and now we got one right here on the bottom. And I found this really cool picture. You're not going to find it anywhere, but check this out. I got the girls here in military garb. They are ready to go serve you. Yes, sir, no, sir. This is a military action, so I guess you could call an isekai because you are going through the gate from one world to the other. But I guess you could say it's not a traditional isekai, but you got the JSDF moving an entire force through the gate and building on Olmus Hill and taking their powerful 21st century weapons and going into a medieval world where there's no pollution, beautiful scenery. Basically, us haven't gone in there and ruined it yet, like we have our own world. So give it time. So as long as that gate stays there, there's going to be a lot of stuff. But I was thinking, this is one of those worlds that it doesn't rely on natural adaptation and building its people. Like in our world on Earth, we generate enough babies every day to keep the population growing and doesn't require it. This world gets its population and its diversity in people. I don't want to say humans because they're not all humans. There's elves, there's demigods, there's humans, there's dwarves. There's a large variety of species there, and I'm sure this gate pops up in different worlds, and then those who cross, and then the gate closes and goes to the next. Well, that's how this world develops. Unlike us, where we're left alone in we're on the spiraling end of an arm being whipped around in the universe in this galaxy called Milky Way, and they're probably not. So they're not getting. That's how they develop in this world. So we got the JSDF going over there, and they, by no fault of their own, like in most other animes, when people come through a gate, you got someone there to shake your hand. No, the welcoming committee in this world is bows and arrows and 500,000 people trying to kill you. It's kind of a, what would you think of that? I mean, you walk through, I would think that most people would be standing there with the, bottle of wine, box of cheese, and say, shake my hand, let's sit down and have a tea party. Oh, no, not in this world. No, sorry, they meet you at the tip of a spear. What do you think?
Yeah, but I think that's because when they came to Japan, they started killing people. Like they attacked first. That is the reason when.
Well, no, wait a minute. They came quietly and kidnapped a bunch of people. Then they came and attacked.
Yeah, right. They show that, and I like that how they like resolve that. Like when they find out like they're one of people as a captive, and they don't like regard like where they are standing. They start beating the prince and starting the like in the royal guard. Like I really love that scene, like how they did that. And in the first episode, or I think the second episode, the other thing when they simply like in couple of minutes kill 60,000 people, that was also an amazing
I thought
thing. Like,
was it 6? It was either 60 or 100. I know it was up there. It was the entire Empire's army, and yeah, you would think they came over into our world and stuck around, stole a bunch of people, kidnapped them, but they didn't bother checking out the military. They didn't make any effort to find out what we're about. And they better be thankful that that gate ended up in Japan, because could you imagine if that would have hit the U.S.? They would have woke up the next morning with about 1 million soldiers on their property, and we would start tearing down an aircraft carrier and shipping it through that gate. If it was America, it'd be 24/7. They'd build a freaking highway right into that gate. They would move some stuff over. They had pipelines going back through. They would be drilling for oil in the first 30 days. I'm sorry, but I do not have a very good, I guess you could say, impression of the human race. I think humans are like roaches. We eat up all the environment, we destroy the areas that we're in, and then we move on to a nicer area. And rather than clean up the one we're in, we just leave that mess and move to the next spot and destroy that and chop down all the... Do you know that almost every tree in sections of Oregon and Washington, and we're talking miles of acreage here, they're gone. They're all replants, man-made replants, because we've cut every single tree down on those mountains. And even the ones you can't get to with the truck, now they do with helicopters and fly those, out. It's crazy. And this is kind of a wake-up call for if you're watching this anime going, because honestly, if we could get a gate into another world, this is exactly how it would happen. I mean, not so much with the Tomy and, not following orders and stuff like that. The first time he disobeyed orders, they'd either shot him or moved him back through the gate. They don't tolerate the freedom of, a military guy is yes sir, no sir, and you don't get slackers like that. I mean, you're going to have them everywhere, but my personal favorite was the fight on Italica. I mean, they stole that straight out of the Americans in Vietnam, where they would play some Beethoven or Bach over a loudspeaker while they're just ripping the ground up with these guns and stuff. And I loved it how they had the two Apaches flying back and forth with that 3-barrel 30-millimeter Gatling cannon on the front of those helicopters. The only thing I was surprised, and now that I think about it, I don't know if Japanese military uses the Warthog, but if that was America, there'd be Warthogs over there, because those planes they will tear up some ground, and they're jet powered, but they can fly really slow, and their Gatling gun in the front, if they're down at a 30-degree angle and they pull the trigger and empty every shell they have, that plane will lose all forward momentum. That weapon can stop that plane from flying forward. That's the size. I mean, the bullets are like that. Can't even hold my hands that far. Those are ginormous bullets. I mean, those aren't bullets. Those are rocks, giant rocks they're throwing at you. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever seen the Warthog, the damage it can do with that main cannon?
No, I don't think so. But I'm going to look now.
Yeah, the Warthog's got the 2 jet engines that are mounted real high. It's got really square wings that stick straight out so it can fly at really slow speeds and do drastic corners and stuff like that. And they're flown by Marine Corps pilots who, they're crazy. I was a Marine, so I know they're crazy. They will fly and do things. They're stunt pilots. So anyway, all right, let's get back to the anime. Although we do have plenty of time, sorry, you get me on military and I start drifting. Especially if we're talking about artillery and guns. But yeah, it didn't take them long to build Almas Hill. You notice that? I mean, they had a fort built in
in 6 months, they have. I was looking it was not as it is, but it resemble the building of Pentagon, the base they have built, the corners sticking out. And I was looking there I have seen that, and then I think, oh, so they. And they also portray the American side in this anime, when they see the gate open in Japan and they just close down, they are worried if they have resources there, and then when they bring the people from this side, they were planning to abduct them, the whole operation from CIA, and they really, I think they show the reality, how they blackmail the Japanese side of politics to stand down, we have this file, if you don't stand down, we are going to release
that stuff is very real. It's very real. That's that kind of backdoor politicking that goes on every day around the world. Most wars are fought with a pen and a phone. That's why Abraham Lincoln said the pen was mightier than the sword. It is. You write a little note to your opposing thing, I'll expose your mistress to your wife if you don't stop firing guns at us. And it's basically that simple. You find something to threaten your opponent with, and you make a phone call, tell them what you got. But in this case, it didn't work. Now, if the anime would have been done in America, it probably would have been backwards. I guess it just depends on who you're faithful to whenever you make up something like this. But the whole second season was that politics show of, you know, backstabbing and, you know, the brother put, what's the princess's name? Anyway, the emperor stood down, let his son took over, and then
Princess is Pina.
yeah,
Princess
Pina.
Pina.
Okay, yeah, my bad. And he threw her in jail because he's like, well, you're with the enemy. No, he's too stupid to realize she's trying to protect the empire. You keep going after these guys, and they're gonna set a column up that's 3 miles long, and whatever direction they go, there will be nothing in their wake.
And you know, like they also show one more thing, and that's the only thing that bugs me. Like, if we see the brother of this Princess Pina, he is taking advice from a prisoner, like who he captured. Like, I don't understand. Like, when you attack somewhere, you kill their people, you kill their kids, then you think like you can bring their women to be loyal to you, like you can control
Yeah.
them. Like, I think this happened in real history. Most of the
And to make it worse, she's the queen of the bunny tribe, and he rapes her over and over and over, and then trusts her advice on what to do with his own. I mean, that just shows his level of intelligence. I mean, he's probably got an IQ of 70. And he, you know, they said it right. Her brother made a comment that small small-minded people have the biggest ideas.
yes,
Oh, I wanted to go back and say one thing. If you look, I don't know if you've done it, but I've somewhere along in my YouTube days, I was checking out castles, and a lot of the military castles that are built on the water's edge to protect, they have walls like that, and those walls are built that way for a reason, because it's a lot easier to deflect a cannonball or an arrow than it is to stop one. So if you build your walls at a steep angle like that, when your guys firing at you, they're less likely to break a wall down because they're going to ricochet off, and they're real long. Remember, they built that to fight medieval things with their big ass guns, so they don't even have to pull the tanks outside of the fort. They can fire them from inside the fort and wipe out the opposing force, and then you go out and put a minefield in. They've never experienced a minefield. You could just sit back on a lawn chair sipping a Mai Tai and boom! Boom! But honestly, I think everybody would have made out a whole lot better if they would have just shook their hands, and been there with a tea, a bottle of wine, and some cheese, and hang out. You would get a lot farther, especially if you're going up against a race of people that is, 50 times farther along, is a lot more advanced than you are. But whoever they sent through the first time did not collect enough information for them to set their military right. Because
I think they were also like some ignorant in the start. Like when they started to see the firepower, then they see like when they were having a party at Princess Pina Castle, and they trying to get the people from the fort to back them, and then they show them first. They show the rifle, then they show them the mortar, and he has the image. He turns around and he says, "We can cut them."
It was over right then and there. It's like, let's talk peace.
Yes.
And at that point, Japan would have gave them military stuff to guard against, and then they could have turned. That's how it always happens. I mean, in America, when we went into World War II, we cleaned house against Japan. It was kind of like the same thing. We were with the atom bomb and everything. We were 20, 25 years more advanced. So as soon as we let off 2 of them big bombs, which they didn't know that was all we had, there wasn't a third bomb around. So they signed the surrender, and then we became friends, and to this day we are friends with the Japanese, and not, that's not a solid thing. I mean, we kicked their butt in the beginning, and they had twice our Navy, they had twice the number of ships, twice the number of planes, but we had something that was, mega important. We had to fight. You attacked us, and to the population, it was unprovoked. Now, we've been building, a lot of Germany and Japan had a lot of reasons to be angry with us because we were building ships and planes and bullets for England and, the Allies and supplying with them while we were trying to stay out of the war. And it just, by the way, and we are very close allies with Germany too. So even though we got into a bad fight with a bunch of people in, during World War II, we're all friends now. And the only people that we're not friends with are people that were not in World War II.
I think that's the only solution. Like if two people, two nations, two cities, wherever there is fight, they have to come to a terms and they have to accept the peace. Like you cannot carry on the fighting. We have to.
Oh, I agree with you. And now, in season 2, you see a lot of the politicking back and forth. The only thing that I was disappointed about Gate is they really should have done season 3. Because they left us at where I'm still longing for more, but I just don't have time to read the books or, get into that part of it. I got too much going on, so I don't read like I used to, but I was hoping that you can solve that by just doing another season, and they haven't. Now, with the ratings of where this is even today, and, they made this back in 2015. This thing's 9 years old, and in anime, that's forever ago. And it's still being played. People are still watching it every day. It's still popular. They could do a season 3 at any time and get away with it. You may not be able to get the same voice actors because people change and stuff like that, but you could get it close enough. I'm one of those, I would love to see a season 3. I know it probably won't happen, but it's still a nice thought. There's more of this story to tell. What do you think about the hurricane thing? Or not the hurricane, the earthquake thing?
That was funny, like they don't know like what's happening, and when they tell them like it's like a normal thing, and then I realized like Japan has like earthquakes like normally, so they show that like they're really calm, so they even know like it is going to be like 4.5 or 5 magnitude earthquake, and then they were talking about the aftershocks, and they everybody is like they're like praying on their knees like what is happening, like they have no idea like it's a normal thing.
Now, where you live, aren't there a lot of earthquakes up in the mountains in Pakistan?
Yeah, we have that. Not in Lahore because Lahore is a ground city, but we do have earthquakes in the mountain areas. And
I think, now is that part of the Himalayas or is that a different mountain range?
I think we have like the second highest peak K2 in Pakistan, so that's the region that they have the mountains.
Because I know there's a lot of places around the world here on Earth that have earthquakes constantly. Alaska has them more often than you would think. Hawaii has them all the time. California has them constantly. And you get going around the world. Indonesia has a lot of earthquakes. Over in the basketball day earthquake, what body of water was that? Do you remember?
No.
that it killed like 300,000 people in 12 hours. The was it the not basketball, the soccer day, whatever it was a bad one. That the middle of the ocean floor jumped like 50 feet up, and that just made or Boxing Day. That's the name. I knew it was one of them sports: basketball, football, soccer, table tennis disaster. Who knows what it was, but it was some sports thing. I'm not into sports, so I could. It took me a minute to be able to tell you. But it was neat how they incorporated all that into that story. I really liked the story. The author that originally wrote this story obviously understand how the world works. I mean, because they basically boiled the entire way of how the world works into 25 episodes. And I thought it was they did a good job, and then made it seamlessly throughout the whole thing. I don't know about you, but I could, if you sit back and think about it, that's exactly how that would happen with a modern country, any country on this planet, just about, if that gate would appear. I mean, you got some smaller ones that couldn't do it, but one of the big ones would jump in and help them in 2 seconds. I mean, who wouldn't want the supplies you could get from the other side? Now, let me ask you this, and we're getting close to the end of our half hour, but what about that flame dragon?
Yeah, that was something like.
There's only one thing I don't like about it. They had too many arms on the dragon. Dragons don't have. They had the hands drawn on the wings, and dragons that have hands in their wings don't have other hands on their body. Even though I am talking about a mythical creature and I'm talking about an artist doing it, I believe that dragons existed with the dinosaurs. Their wings are thin and would disappear almost instantly, so I have no problem not finding. I bet half the dinosaurs that existed on this planet we don't know about. So a dragon.
I think they added the hand because they wanted to show the people like it gets injured by the hero of the story, like when they fire the rocket launcher and when they first encounter it. So I think it's the hand that got damaged in a few ways.
Yeah, it blew its left arm off. But there was still the way they drew it, and I know I'm getting specific about a mythical creature, but they still had the hands on, like the pterodactyls have their hands on their wings, and their wings, the first part of their arms come out, and then it goes off their wrist, and then it has the hand out. Sorry, I was shaving and butchered up my head, and I just smacked right where I did it. Some people can see it. You can see that big old knot right on my head. Ow, and I just smacked it. So I can't help it. I'm a head rubber, so I like to rub my own head. I knew I was going to do it during the show. I couldn't help it. So, where would you rate this at?
Okay, so from the first episode, I knew like this is going to be in my top 5 animes. Like this is the first one that I have put there because today I just watched it for the first time. I would say.
Yeah, that's pretty good for that to make your top 5 on a first viewing.
Yeah, I am not sure why, but from the first episode, I knew like this is something different.
Maybe you're kind of like me. The closer they have reality built into it with a slight fantasy that leaves it believable, because this anime is believable. I mean, everyone I've talked to that I know has seen it, could this really happen? Yeah, this could. And that's pretty much how it would happen with some, thing, not the way it is. But we don't know what another world is going to be like and what they're going to have. We don't know if magic is real somewhere else and not here. I've seen magic, I've seen miracles. It's just not as common here. But to go into, you're walking into another world, who knows what the premise could be on the species of animals and people, and we didn't see a lot of animals in throughout this anime. You didn't see bears and lions, and they didn't show any of the wild animals. You have some dogs out there running around or whatever. That was about the only thing I didn't see. I mean, and who cares? I don't really. I just, I'm sure this one was expensive to make as it is. The drawing on it was detailed very well. The sceneries, there was a lot. The hardest drawing, an artist told me, the hardest painting to paint is scenery, because it has such depth to it. That makes it really hard when you have that. And the illustrator on this did a phenomenal job. The director of animation, they did an awesome job. And I think that's why you liked it so well, there was no fuzzing out. They didn't cheat on the background in the anime. They drew everything deep. When they were looking through binoculars and showed you, you could actually see what they were seeing. They did a good job with it. So I'm kind of curious at how they drilled for oil with no equipment. How they know oil was there and where without. I mean, I'm sure there's some radio equipment that I don't know about. All right, so that's our show for today. Again, we were talking about Gate, and I think it was a great anime, and maybe someday they'll make a season 3. You never know. I mean, when they run out of new ideas, they go back in the vault and see what they can add on to in the older stuff. So maybe someday we'll see a season 3. So want to thank you for joining us. Don't forget, it's High Dive Week. We are only in the middle, so we got 2 more days, 2 more shows to bring you. And we are looking forward to it. And let me pop up my calendar here. Tomorrow is Chivalry of a Failed Knight. This is a really good anime. This is in my top 10. So hopefully Hassan will like it. And we'll tell you all about it tomorrow at 7 p.m. Be here or be square. Thanks for watching and have a good evening.